Andy, how we doing, bud?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Good. Doing good. Get your podcast headphones on.
Yeah,
All
I hate
set.
when the noise mixes with the microphone.
There you go. For sure. Now, appreciate you being willing to do this. I thought
Of course.
I was meeting with one of our Accelerant partners a couple of weeks ago, and she says, "Hey, are you doing any podcasting?" And I'm like, "No, really hadn't thought about it." She goes, "Well, all of our Zoom catch-up calls, just turn them into podcasts, and then put those on your YouTube page, and I think it'll help promote everybody else's business." I thought, what a great idea. We're doing it anyway. Why not just record it
Yeah,
and kind of go that route? So yeah, so I thought, what I want to do is ask you, some question about what's going on with the business, kind of give us some details on that, and then probably give you kind of a catch up on what we got going on, and try to keep this to 30 minutes or less so that it's not
sure.
not too long. But that being said, tell me who you are first of all, and the company that you work with, and what you guys do.
I'm Andy Guzman. I'm business development for Westech Recyclers, which is part of a larger group of recyclers, Full Circle Electronics. And my main goal is to bring material into the process. So kind of unlike other sales positions or other businesses where you're creating a widget and you're trying to move those widgets and get people to purchase them. Really, our aim is just everybody's already purchased their electronics. At some point, they come to the end of life, and we're just trying to get people to make the decision to recycle them responsibly through us, so we can
Recycle
handle,
responsibly. I like
yeah, we can
that.
handle all their data needs. So make sure the data is being destroyed. We do refurbishment and resales. We can redeploy assets. We dismantle them, turn them into raw commodities such as aluminum, copper, plastic, circuit boards, and we sell those
Got
to
it.
their respective recyclers. So people ask us
Okay.
like, "Well, how are you making your money?" It sounds too good to
Right.
be true.
That was
You're
my next
just,
question. How do you guys get
yeah,
paid?
yeah. You guys are just taking these electronics, and you're not charging me anything for the most part. Speaking as someone who's donating their electronics, it's in the commodities and in the resale. That's kind of what
Okay.
funds the whole process. So we are for profit, as most businesses are, but I
Right.
think it's a pretty neat strategy and an approach that we have to move.
It sounds like it. Now, I've known you for a little while and the company for quite a while as an accelerant partner. Give us an example. Tell me a story real quick, kind of a success story of a company maybe that you were able to help liquidate what they had coming out and kind of how that all went down.
Sure. So one of the customers that I recently worked with is Emotion. They're actually based out of the UK, but what
Oh,
really stuck out to me is they do the VR headset experiences at like the Odyssey Aquarium. They have them at
oh,
several
wow.
zoos. So
Okay.
although you're probably there to see the live animals, they have like you can pay for credits. You sit in this really cool egg-shaped pod. You put on a headset, a VR headset, and it takes you through an experience where the pod is rocking and
Oh,
moving,
wow.
trying to make it more of a 4D immersive
Okay.
experience. I'm personally really big into VR, so when this one came through, I had to jump on it. So I got to travel down there, and the headsets, as you can imagine, get a lot of wear. Anything
Oh,
anything where
sure.
the public is just putting on, taking off, and wearing it, sweating into it. Get a lot of, so they do a lot of replacements. So I went down there and they had just this box just filling up with old headsets,
Oh,
and they don't
wow.
use the controllers, so the controllers were just brand new, sitting there, also collecting. And they needed an outlet for it because, like most of our customers, their main business isn't recycling. They have their own projects and deadlines and things that
Sure.
they're retooling for. So I was able to send our driver that shows up in a 26-foot box truck, about like a U-Haul size truck.
Oh,
They show
wow.
up with all the packing materials. They scooped everything up, put it in there, loaded the truck, brought it back to our warehouse for the brand new controllers. We could remarket the headsets. We dismantled and issued them a certificate of recycling, which made
Oh,
my point of contact there look really good. He wasn't expecting that, but he got by net weight a certificate that says, "Congratulations, this is what you recycled," and he can move that up to his boss. He had to have a compliance or environmental health and safety. It helps them
okay.
keep track of that, and if they want to
Huh.
calculate their carbon footprint offset for that, all the better.
Got it. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Well, and a chance to really get in and help, clean out some of the stuff that just didn't end up in a bin, right? And then
right.
at the you know waste management or whoever else, and you got all this electronic stuff just sitting there that doesn't decompose typically, right? So you've got this stuff just filling our landfills with, you know, material that probably isn't good for the soil and everything else. So
Yeah, I mean, I think we had we were quoting a study from back in 2023. I know we're 2 years in now, but in 2023, only 17% of all electronics were being recycled, leaving a staggering 83% of
Wow.
electronics. And I mean, electronics are prolific.
Of course.
They're in every part of our life. So you
I'm looking at
imagine
my
just how
desk
many.
thinking, okay, one,
Yeah,
two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I mean, there's 12 things on my desk right now.
yeah. Every meeting that I go to, I'm always like, how many handheld devices, tablets, laptops,
Right.
coming in through the lobby. And so that's a staggering amount of electronics, which what you just pointed out is there is possibly lead in the soldering. There can be mercury in like the fluorescent lights, like a LCD.
Okay.
Plastics that don't break down that could be reused. And I think that's a great point to it. And I would add to that, and that those are all resources that we have spent time, money, labor,
Right.
perhaps even paid tariffs on to get into this country. So why not reuse them? Why not reclaim
Absolutely.
them? Let's
Yeah.
reuse that copper, that aluminum, those plastics. Let's find a reuse for it. To be honest, only some plastics can be recycled, but mostly ABS, which is what most of your electronics are encased in,
Okay.
and a lot of precious metals. Always little trace amounts of gold, silver, palladium, rhodium, platinum, which are very rare, and have finite source. So if we can get those
Yeah.
over to a smelter and reclaim them, um, all the better.
That's awesome. Wow. And you've been with them now for how long?
So I've been in the industry for 17 years. This is
Okay.
August 2025. I started in August 2008,
Wow.
and made my way through the production side all the way to general manager, and then 5 months ago moved over to business development, and that's when I
Okay.
started getting involved with Westech. So I
Wow.
came up through global electronic recycling, but now working closely with David Huff, my business development partner at Westech, who's phenomenal.
Sure.
Um, yeah, for 5 months doing the business development, but in the industry for 17 years. So I've seen a lot, and I always say I must have just woke up and it must have been having fun because the time flew.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. What a great industry from recycling anything, but certainly our technology. I mean, with anything electronic and all of that, you just see, our landfills, the potential for them just being filled,
Yeah,
much less our houses, our garage, a bin at the house where you're like, oh my God, we just bought a new TV. So what are we going to do with the old TV? We don't need this one anymore. We got, new laptops, new phones, and the drawers just get full.
yeah,
How do you get the word out? I mean, what's your, obviously companies seem to be probably the biggest target, right? Because as they turn over, um, you know, their material, what they're using for the company, are you knocking on doors? Are you word of mouth? Are you advertising at all? What do you guys do to get the word out and to get that stuff in to be recycled?
yeah. So we do a little bit of everything. I myself, I'm going around knocking on doors, going to networking meetings. Like the great Accelerant is a really good networking opportunity. And then we have a marketing team. So our Full Circle Electronics family of recyclers is backed by a holdings company which has their own marketing. So
Ah,
they're handling all the SEO, making marketing materials for
got
us.
it.
So when leads come in, since we have 8 locations in the U.S., the lower U.S. Um, they're feeling out and saying, "Hey, this one is in Atlanta. We're going to send it to the Atlanta site. If anything's kind of in the Arizona, New Mexico, they're going to send it my way."
Got it.
But for what you mentioned, business to business is really where, as a for-profit, we're really going to make those ends meet. Is trying to get large fleets of laptops, computers, monitors, and peripherals, things like that. But more often than not, because I do a lot of face-to-face talking, is I get that someone saying, "Oh, I do have a bin in the garage. Oh
Right.
yeah, I've got a drawer at home or some stuff piling up in a closet." Even
Sure.
meeting with some like IT MSP people, they've done some projects. They've gone to their customer site, switched out whatever equipment, and they haul it back, and then it's at their office,
Right.
and they don't know what to do with it. And so
Sure.
the education part, like you hit on the head, is the biggest part. Educating people to know that we exist. We're really one of those industries
Yeah.
that you don't think about. Just like at home, once you throw your trash, you throw your recycle bin away, you probably stop thinking about it. It's
Exactly.
no longer on your radar. And as far as you know, someone's taking care of it. The education part is the big piece. So we do a lot of recycling events at Westech Recyclers.
Okay.
So we work with like communities, if they're like the HOA, working with them to set up a
Okay.
recycling event within the community. with property managers. So if it's like a big high-rise building saying, hey, in April is Earth Month, we're going to pick a weekend or a weekday to show up with receptacles and notify people with flyers and messages leading up to that event saying, hey, bring your items from home if you have anything in the office. So really trying to make it as easy as possible. Everybody is on board. I have not met a single person who's not on board. But the thing is like, oh yes, I have stuff, but it's somewhere else, and making it as convenient as, trying to make it almost as convenient as having a truck drive up to your house.
Got it.
We couldn't service the entire valley like that, so we tried to make almost a hub and spoke. Here's where we are. Here's our warehouse. We're open to donations. If you're running a business, whether you're manufacturing, distribution, or you just use electronics in your business, SEO terms, we're looking at, like, people are searching electronics recycling or hard drive disposal, or my broken cell phone, what do I do with it? Really trying to get all the aspects. And if anybody out there has any feedback on what you would search when you're trying to do it, I would love to hear that feedback, because being as deeply as entrenched, I have my own biases and lingo like ITAD, and no one's saying ITAD out in the real world, but it's an industry specific term.
Interesting. Now, I know, because we've met before, and I know David, if a company has got sensitive data on these laptops to say that they're giving to you guys to recycle, how do we know that? Do they have to scrub them themselves? Will you guys do that and provide some kind of a guarantee that they've been scrubbed? Kind of walk me through that. What kind of confidence can a company have that the sensitive information that was on that laptop is no longer there?
Yeah, that's great. So data, we call it data security, and the service we offer is data destruction. So at the very bottom of the rung, as we start explaining this, is I tell everybody we have multiple levels of service, and at every level of service, we are destroying data. You can't opt out of it. There's no box to check. There's nothing you can say, leave my data on there. We are professional electronic recyclers. We're dealing with data all the time, whether someone calls it out or not. We're always destroying the data. We do that in two ways. There's the physical. So we have shredders. We have machines that will dismantle and destroy, and there's nothing left to plug in, nothing left to read. And then we do it logically. We have computers and servers where we plug them in. We use a licensed software that overwrites it. Just if everything's written in binary ones and zeros, it overwrites it with just lines and lines of zeros, and then we do a validation sample from those. So those are the two methods we do data destruction, and it's always happening whether you elect it, ask for it, or not. But as far as somebody wanting like some sort of a full circle closed in loop saying, how do I know that it's been recycled? Certificates of destruction. So we will do asset reporting. So if someone sends in, let's say, 200 desktops, and they say, I want to be assured that my data is destroyed, we will pull the hard drives, scan the serial numbers, which is a unique number to every hard drive. We'll scan those, put them in a report, certificate of destruction saying these were destroyed. So once we pull them, scan them, destroy them, whether it's shred or logically, they get that report. If that asset ever shows up anywhere, we're the ones held accountable, not them.
Okay.
So and we always welcome all of our customers to come tour the place so they can see how it is. It's very fun.
I've been down there. It blew me away. I had no idea. First of all, just the sheer size of it, and the number of people, and what's going on physically in the destruction of and the tearing apart, and the bins that you guys have. I mean, it's pretty impressive. And then as we start to wrap up here, tell me about the retail shop that you guys have. What if somebody was looking for a repurposed? I don't know. What are you guys selling? How does that work?
Yeah, so the remarketing side is a big part of it. Reuse is part of recycling. It doesn't always involve shredders and thermal processes, things like that. So if we get in, let's say, a 22-inch monitor or 24-inch monitor, it's not scratched up, it still powers on, all the pixels work. We're not going to dismantle it. Why put all that energy and labor to turn it into commodities that someone's going to have to then process and put energy and labor to reassemble into another monitor? So we'll resell it. We do have a brick and mortar at the Westech recyclers down on 7th Street and Jefferson in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. And then we also do online for Amazon Refurbished, eBay, some other bulk selling platforms. So everything that we resell is tested. And at the brick and mortar, people come in all day. They're coming in and they're looking for, like I said, a monitor. A 24-inch monitor you could buy brand new for $100. We'll probably sell it for $20. Let somebody else take the depreciation on it.
Right.
So reusing that, making things more accessible. You can get laptops, we make gaming PCs. One thing that I've noticed as I watched the store is a lot of businessmen who have traveled out of state, gotten there and realized I forgot my charger, my laptop charger, or my phone charger, right, isn't working,
Right.
and they don't want to. They don't have anywhere to have Amazon deliver it to their hotel.
Right.
They don't want to go to a big box store and spend, the $60 on it. They'll find us. They'll come in. They'll get the exact laptop charger that they need at a huge markdown, and now they have two, which is great.
Wow. When I saw the retail shop, because you walk through there, kind of as you come in and it's right there, I was blown away at all the stuff that I'm thinking. I paid full retail for everything you guys have in there. And to think I could have spent pennies on the dollar, quite frankly, on coming in, buying a refurbished, and this stuff seems to at this point almost disposable. You're gonna have a monitor for a couple of years, and then it's like they're built to break, and so that's just kind of the reality of things right now. So why have to go buy a brand new one if you can come down to the brick and mortar and check out what you guys have on a regular basis?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Good for you. Well, this has been great. Always good to catch up with you. And I see you at our Accelerant events on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. How's Accelerant going for you?
It's going really well. When I joined business development, I had no sales experience 4 or 5 months ago. And David Huff was kind enough to say, hey, I'm part of this networking group. You got to come check it out. So I showed up to orientation, really nervous, thinking like, what am I doing here with a room full of 3-piece suit bankers and stuff? What do I have to offer? But Scott Kreitz was great in saying that, if you're willing to help other people get their business, they're willing to help you. That's where the value's at. And I have flourished with that mentality. And
good.
I brought it to everywhere outside of the network as well. So I'm really glad. And Christopher, you were the first person. You're the first person to reach out and say, hey, let's set something up. Let's go to a one-on-one. We went to lunch, which was fantastic.
Good.
And it set a good standard for how I should act and how it should be. And I'm glad I had that launching point. So thank you, Christopher.
You're very welcome. You're a welcome member, and your background and experience and your professionalism lead the way. You obviously have a passion for what you do. You've been doing it for a long time. You talk the talk for sure. All the things that you're easy to refer to, which is nice. We're working with companies. We walk in to an office somewhere and see all the technology that we typically see. And God forbid we see things stacking up in a corner. It's like, hey, what are you doing with those? Oh, we haven't decided yet. We don't even know who to call. I got a guy, and that's a lot of what Accelerant's about is I got a guy, quote unquote guy, right? I got somebody that can help with that. They'll take it off your hands. They won't even charge you for it most of the time,
exactly.
Right? So that's a hell of a deal. Well, that's awesome. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, I appreciate you joining us for this. We'll get this out. Tell us how to get a hold of you, by the way. Well, I'll let you go.
Yeah. A Guzman, AGUZMAN at Westech Recyclers, WESTECHRECYCLERS.com. It's a mouthful. But honestly, wherever you're at, if you're in the Phoenix area, Google electronics recycling. Honestly, it'd be great if it came through me, through us. But if you find anyone, and here's an important part, who's R2 V3 certified. So R2 is R2 V3. Okay. So it's 2 R's, R squared, responsible recycling. Version 3 is the newest. It's a standard for electronic recyclers. That's really what you want to look at. Whether you're in Phoenix, whether you're outside, look for anyone who's accredited to R2 V3. They're going to give you all the same security, data destruction, product security, things like that, brand security. So
got it. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, we will be sure to put your information up on the screen once we get this published to make sure if anybody needs to get a hold of you that they can do that easily. And again, I know I'm going to see you soon here, probably at, I think we have an event tomorrow. You can be able to make lunch tomorrow?
Yes, I am. I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. I just talked to Evan over there, and it turns out his son has an abscess tooth. I mean, they've got a dentist appointment tomorrow for him. So we're going to meet over at the Benefit Commerce Group office and probably just have lunch inside of their conference room, which should work out pretty good. So we'll see you over there. Nice. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, hey, how about yourself? I know I just talked about myself for 20 minutes. How's business going for you?
It's going good. Interest rates are still, we just seem to have this nagging. We just can't seem to get rates to drop below. Like right now, we're sitting at about 6.5, 6.25%. We would love to be below 6%. We're really keeping our fingers crossed that when the Fed meets again on September 17th, that they announce a reduction to the federal funds rate. If
Yeah.
they reduce the federal funds rate, which will bring interest rates down for banks that borrow money overnight from each other, that also affects interest rates for mortgages and home equity loans and car loans. And the administration right now feels that the common citizen is spending way too much money on their credit card interest rates, their home equity loan rates, their car loan rates,
Hmm.
and certainly their mortgage. And we've got kind of we've had a lot of headwind over the last couple of years when it comes to first-time buyers not getting into the market because interest rates, of course, are no longer 3%. Now we're sitting in the sixes. We've been in the sevens. We tickled 8% a couple of times over the last couple of years. We have a lot of first-time buyers that are sitting on the sidelines that we're hoping that if we can get rates down below 6%, we'll bring them off the sidelines and get them into the market. There's a lot of inventory out there, in that 400 to 450 price point, which is kind of your typical first-time buyer price range right now. And if interest rates come down, borrowing costs, monthly payments will reduce, make it much more affordable to get into that. So,
Yeah.
on one hand, we have buyers sitting on the sidelines. On the other hand, we have a lot of sellers in those price points that are looking for buyers. And if they can get somebody to show up and make an offer, these sellers are willing to give a discount on the price. They're willing to concede part of their profit to help a buyer pay their closing costs for them, $7, 8, $9,000 in closing costs. They're willing to buy the interest rate down for a buyer for 2 years. I've got a client right now that he's a pilot at Southwest Airlines, super sharp young guy, buying a townhouse. He got $20,000 off the list price of the townhome and another 20 grand to pay all of his closing costs and to buy his interest rate down 1 full% for 2 years. So this guy's going to save literally $500 a month for the first 2 years of owning this townhome because the seller,
Yeah.
quite frankly, was a little desperate to sell. House had been on the market for over 90 days. The seller was under contract to buy another home. They had to get rid of this house for them to be able to buy the next one. So they gave a huge discount to get this home sold. And luckily, our client was able to take advantage of that. And I'm trying to
That,
get the word out to
yeah.
those first time buyers that are on the sidelines. Like, guys, it's a great time to buy because when rates do drop and all the people jump in off the sidelines,
Hmm.
and supply and demand, you and I know when that demand goes up, what happens? Price goes up. Those
Yeah.
sellers aren't willing to give concessions. They're not willing to pay for closing costs. So it's going to get a little more expensive to buy than it is right now. So that's kind of the world we're living in is we've got too many people on the sidelines and too many sellers that are willing to concede. It's like, come on, guys, we just need to meet in the middle here somewhere and make a commitment.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I mean, buying a house is a huge commitment. No one's going to take that
Sure.
lightly because it's their own money. But I think it is some to the point that you just said, and something I heard you say before is, those rates are going to go down. So if you can get into the house market now, take advantage of all those concessions of that of the seller's need to move the house and make all those concessions for you, and
Mhm.
then I don't know when the rate's going to drop, but at least within another. How long would you say? I mean,
Well,
when you
a few
expect it?
months to the next 18 months where we
But not
expect
in
to see
10 years,
interest
right?
rate.
It's way sooner
Oh,
than, yeah.
way sooner. Yeah,
So
exactly.
buy now and then refinance and get the best
Exactly.
of both worlds.
Great point.
So
Exactly.
that's a great lead in to that. So
Yeah.
a question for you is these high rates, do they affect new home buyers more than existing home buyers? Or is it really affecting everybody who's looking to
That's a
buy a home?
great question. The home builders have had a bit of a monopoly on interest rates from the standpoint they can buy that interest rate down the same way a seller could help
Hmm.
contribute to buying the interest rate down for a buyer on a resale home. The builders have a lot more money to work with. So new home builders are offering interest rates in the low fours as opposed to low sixes just to get their inventory moved. The cost of holding inventory, once a home has been built, the builders borrow money to build the homes and they
Hmm.
have to pay interest. So they're charged interest on a daily basis. So if that house sits on the market for too long, it's costing them a fortune. They're willing to contribute to reducing the interest rate for a buyer just to get that house off the market. to get that inventory sold so they can free up the money that they need to go build the next house. So the builders have gotten much more aggressive with offering lower interest rates. So new home sales, you can get in a lot less expensively from a monthly payment standpoint
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to resale because the builder's willing to buy that interest rate down for you. Oftentimes on a temporary basis, you're starting out with maybe a 3.99 for the first year, then it goes to 4.99. And then on to maybe a 5.99. So new home construction versus resale, a little bit of a difference. The builders don't want to do that. It comes out of the profit from the sale of the house.
Right.
And they're rooting for rates to come down as well so they can stop paying for these discounted rates. That's a great question, though.
Yeah. Okay. That's it's insightful. Something I wouldn't have thought about. But it feels like
Yeah,
everyone's feeling the squeeze on that. And if anyone's going to benefit by it, it's actually the buyer. And the buyer
absolutely.
seems like they're being scared off by
It
it.
is it's been a long time really since we've had a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been a buyer's market really since 2009, 10, 11, and 12 when we went through the crash. We had
Mm-hmm.
short sales, we had foreclosure properties, and if you didn't get affected by that, you could take advantage of it as a first-time buyer or a buyer coming in. This reduction in prices. Well, it hasn't been the case like that for 15 years. And so now we're in an unusual window where it really is a buyer's market from a price perspective, from a concessions to a interest rate buy down. And I fear that the window is going to be closing. It'll close very quickly. This buying opportunity as soon as
Mm-hmm.
rates drop, because the flood of buyers will jack up the prices. The sellers will get more selective about which buyers offer to accept. They'll have multiple offers on properties, and it'll be gone like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to convince somebody, to make the kind of decision to spend $400,000 on a house when you realize that most wealth in the country comes from the equity in real estate owned. So it's hard to put any real money away while you're paying rent. And you figure if you own the house, the home is appreciating gradually over time. You're paying the balance down, the difference between what it's worth and what you owe, we call equity. So over time, you're gaining more and more equity, which is really kind of net worth. It's money you can take with you later by selling the home, buying another one, retiring, living in a home that's free and clear potentially. Um, it's hard. It's hard to root against the real estate market because it's made so many people, I don't say rich, but at least secure financially
Yeah.
over
No,
time.
I agree
So
100%.
very cool.
Well, awesome.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for
appreciate
that
the
insight. I
question. Yeah,
Excuse me?
I said appreciate the question.
Oh yeah, no, it's super interesting, and I hope that people who are watching this take that to heart and capitalize on that. And when those rates go down, and they will go down, that you have those floodgates open, that
There you
you
go.
get your share of that.
Exactly right. Well, I appreciate that. Certainly your lips to God's ears that we see rates come down soon. People jump in and take advantage of it. And then of course, I've been doing this for 34 years. So I'm here to help those clients that we've done loans for at higher interest rates to be able to refinance into a lower rate, take advantage of that. We're very proactive about staying in touch with our past clients to make sure that when rates do drop, and I'm shooting a text out saying, "Hey, let's jump on a call real quick. Let's crunch some numbers
Mm-hmm.
and see if it makes sense to refi." And if it doesn't, that's fine too. We'll postpone that until it makes more sense. But at least they've got somebody helping to manage that mortgage for them and that debt. That's what I enjoy doing. So very cool. Hey, we're right up on the time here. Andy, I appreciate you again making the time and sharing what you guys do down there at Westech. You guys do a great job, and I appreciate you spending some time with us on this. And I know I will see you very soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for giving the opportunity to explain this and spread the word and educate.
You got it, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.